meta since it came out. There's nothing wrong with the skill being good, but when it's the most popular skill for since release, and it's been nerfed 4 times now, that's where I draw the line. You can't preach dynamic meta shift and then have that be the only meta. Tornado shots have been good since release as well. Is that going to be another instance? Arc, since it's got its change, Arc used to be bad before. Now it's good. So in my mind, it makes sense where Arc is in a good state of mind right now, because for a while it wasn't. You have all these skills that are just not up to snuff, and you have Flameblast just dominating since its release. It'd be nice to see maybe Flameblast get the drawback, and then in the same patch make another gem not have a drawback, or buff another gem. But just by nerfing Flameblast, I don't think it accomplishes anything. You have Fire Trap still. Prolif is still insane. What is your takes on it all, Pox?
So, alright, here's kind of like an interesting side point. I think that Flameblast needed a nerf. I don't know if it needs a mechanical nerf or if it needs a damage nerf. 20% doesn't do anything to it. Flameblast, here's the thing about it. Even if you take Prolif away from Flameblast, sure, it's going to destroy its clear speed. But Flameblast itself hits so hard. And if you think about it, when people run maps, what is it? You 1 to 2 stack it. You 1 to 2 stack it, you go crit. On a 1 to 2 stack, you can one-shot some bosses. That's 1 to 2 out of its potential of 10. So cut it by 20%.
I don't see a problem with that, Pox.
Yeah. Well, no, I'm just saying. Cut it by 20%. Maybe we have to go to 4 now. Maybe 4 stacks.
Well, so Spell Echo doesn't really freaking make a big difference with that, anyways.
Yeah. Well, Spell Echo just puts you to 2 on your right click, so you don't have to worry about charging. It's just boom, boom. But the point I'm trying to make is I think it definitely deserves a nerf, but I don't know if the nerf needs to go for the mechanics or for just the damage, because it is so strong.
I'm gonna say the mechanics, because I think nerfing just the damage like this, and they said in the reasoning for the patch notes, which I love that they're adding that again now after people requested it, was that it should still be strong, but people will have to use some more of the stacks, and that makes sense, that you have to use some more of the skill's actual mechanics, like stack it up a few more times when you're using it. But I think that just makes Flameblast less fun, not so much less effect. Only a little bit less effect. It's going to take a bit longer to clear, but I think it makes it mostly less fun. I don't know. Maybe it makes it more fun for some people. I kind of like the idea of charging up and unleashing it, but I do think that maybe a mechanics nerf is more what's needed, either to do with proliferation or its ignite. Someone in chat mentioned doing something like change ignite to 7% of damage instead of 20% of the initial hit. What do you guys reckon of changing the burn amount, maybe, or the burn duration?
Well, yeah, Ignite got changed back in Nemesis to be 80% of the damage dealt over 4 seconds. So essentially 20% of the damage dealt a second prior to any fire damage, spell damage, whatever. No, fire damage, elemental damage, and burn damage. I don't know if that was the right choice, because Flameblast came out shortly thereafter, and Flameblast freaking quality. I mean, everything about Flameblast is insane. But if they do adjust Flameblast, you're still going to have your fire traps. You're going to still have your other ways to prolif your fire damage. I think, honestly, Ignite prolif might be too strong. You see rings like Pyre come out, but who cares? You just go with fire skill. It's just been too strong for so long. Discharge had its cake for a while. Fire trap, Flameblast. Whatever skill you use to do your fire prolif, it's going to work. I mean, people are doing shield charge prolif. Shield charge is just mechanically crap. Let's be real about it. And you could still make a fire prolif build work out of it. I mean, come on.
I think that's pretty much seals the deal on that. From the fact that you can make shield charge viable with it.
There's just no other way of putting it other than fire prolif is.
Actually, I don't know. I don't know if fire prolif is OP, because there's no way of turning shock nova into fire prolif. So without the ability to make shock nova viable, I don't know, man. I don't think it's Kappa.
I mean, see, Mathel's already done at Zeri with Shock Nova, so I'm pretty sure.
True. We can't say Shock Nova is weak anymore.
Pretty sure you could put Avatar Fire on it and just say it's 50% viable, because now it's
well,
50% viable.
Yeah, no, I don't know. On a real note, I have kind of a flip side on both of these. So anytime I come back to Path of Exile, it doesn't matter if I took a month break, a 2-month break, a 3-month break, unless something mechanically changes. It's really nice and reassuring for me to just come into the game and know, this is my fire trap setup. I'm going to run this gem and this gem and this gem. and it's a cheap, solid, basic character that can transition to whatever it wants to do. But the basis is always proliferation, and it's just nice because it's instant gratification. Don't have to spend any currency. I don't even have to interact with the economy if I want. But at the same time, I still feel like even that is too strong. But I still like it that there's something that's it's very cheap and it's very effective. But I just don't want it to be this effective.
Yeah, me too. I think it's a matter of degree, or it's a question of degree. Like when it gets to a certain degree, it starts to harm diversity and starts to harm leveling diversity, and it makes it feel like oh, there's other fun ways of leveling maybe, but do I really want to do that? I mean, we as humans want to do take the easiest way, the path of least resistance most of the time. Like you can say, oh, just don't play it, just don't play it. But we like to take the strong. We like to use the strong things. So it is a bit out there, isn't it?
I just used it my first time leveling up a character. The first time I ever used Flameblast, and I had 0 damage nodes, and all the way to level 60, I had no problems. 0 damage nodes, and just with a 5 link. Chance to ignite, your standard. No, I didn't even go chance to ignite. I just went Flame Blast, Spell Echo, all the damage nodes, and I was just one-shotting packs the whole time. Just 2 Quicksilvers flying through content. And I was like, wow, this is just insane. And I always knew it was strong, but not that strong. Even without Prolif, it was just wrecking. So I think the nerf was good, but it does nothing if you nerf the skill and people are still going to use it, and they didn't change the meta any way, shape, or form. Without adding.
I don't think the 20% will change much.
No,
really.
It doesn't do anything for the game other than nerf the skill.
I will kind of disagree in one way. So at an end game standpoint, I don't think the 20% does anything. But I will say for a leveling standpoint, if you're not using actual leveling gear, it will actually hurt the skill a bit. Just because I could go Fire Trap right now and just prolif everything with a 2-link, but with Flame Blast, it needs a little bit more setup to get going, unless you're using a Searing Touch or something.
True. I got it yesterday in Descent Pox, and I was one-shotting Elemental Resist Aura mobs with the 20% nerf. No problem.
Yeah. Right. But you haven't hit Cruel yet, for example, or even Merciless if you're still leveling with it. I'm not saying it's you won't. I'm just saying now you're gonna have to 10 charge instead of 6 charge or 8 charge. It's just from personal experience what I've noticed. I think it's still gonna slow down the leveling a little bit. Assuming you're not running a Searing Touch, this that. I mean just basic crap gear that standard players would have. Opposed to endgame, I don't really think it's going to do anything. Because you're still going to see people in 6-man parties. You're going to have one Flame Blaster with a 4 charge being nearly immune to reflect, assuming he's hitting Ruby Flask, and he's still going to one-shot everything in a 6-man party.
What do you guys think about the idea of having proliferation have reduced effectiveness on it of your status element, 50%. Someone in chat says 50% reduced effectiveness to everything that's proliferated to. Do you think that would make enough of a difference? Or would it do anything useful? Again. So having proliferation, for example with my recent ring, right, the elemental equilibrium was too strong, so they reduced the effectiveness of the elemental equilibrium. What about if elemental proliferation had a reduced effectiveness as well?
The elemental prolif itself brings down the skill?
So elemental proliferation proliferates a burn. The burn is weaker that's proliferated
than
the initial
okay.
burn. So it's 50% of the initial burn.
So kind of like a melee splash, where the initial hit still hits the same target for a while. Yeah.
So the only problem I think with that is I actually don't think mechanically they might be able to do that because it takes the strongest burn. That's the way burn works usually. Because that's the way my proliferation builds work off chance to ignite, and I'll have 8 or 9 different proliferations, and it always takes the highest burn. But I think just in general, because I don't know anything about coding and whatnot, I think that actually I would rather have elemental proliferation affect the gem, if that's possible, reduce the damage of the gem itself. So it's you now have let's be fair, single target and AoE, right? Conk effect has a drawback. It doesn't. It's for example, it lowers your AoE. AoE has a drawback. It doesn't give you damage. Multi strike lowers it gives you an overall damage boost, but it lowers the first, initial hit. Spell Echo, same thing, it lowers the first initial hit. But LE Prolif just gives you free AoE. It doesn't have any drawback. That's my personal thing on it. Is I think that there's AoE and single target should kind of be a little different.
I don't know. Prolif has just been so good ever since what was the first real big Prolif specs back then? It was Fire Trap and Discharge, right? And
Crit Fire Trap was like one of the.
it's just been super strong. And whether or not it needs a nerf, Act 4 is coming out. I'm going to throw it. I'm expecting a huge overhaul on the way how a lot of mechanics work. This is this is bigger than release day back October when Nemesis came out. We got a little Dominus patch. We got the gardens, things like that.
Yeah,
That was exciting. This is a whole new act. This is nuts. We haven't had a whole new act since beta. So this is going to be massive.
It's a good time to change up the meta because people aren't going to be so worried about their old builds not working in the same content because we're going to have whole new content. The game's going to be quite a bit different, I think.
For a while, bows, bows weren't even existent because of how hard it was to get crit bows or, Perfect Harbinger. There was no death in decimation bows for leveling up. And now that Tornado Shot came out, the wine train about Tornado Shot being too OP, it needs a nerf. It's like, you cried for this. It's here. Deal with it. And maybe when Act 4 comes out, we're all going to cry for a Prolif nerf, and then it's going to be like, why'd you nerf Prolif? It's going to be the same thing all over again.
My builds are so terrible now.
It's just, we just need a meta shift. And I think we're all feeling kind of stale right now. We all need to sit back and be like, Act 4 is coming out. Let's just chill.
At the same time, though, the game is the most diverse it's ever been, so we're kind of
yes,
it's almost like this is a first world problem. It's not that big a deal compared to how things were in the past with people playing 3 builds. We've got tons and tons of different viable and effective and fast clearing builds now, so it is really good overall. And obviously that does sort of go into the discussion of should we just arbitrarily change around the meta, which I don't know. I don't have a problem with personally.
I think the other
feels the same.
I think the other thing is, so this is kind of going to go to the MOBA debate of if something's overpowered, why not just buff everything else? And I feel like everything has slightly been getting buffed as the patches go on.
The game's been easier over time.
Yeah, it definitely has. God, I remember white mobs hitting me for 1,200 damage.
The packs themselves have new ways where you can judge your skill in the game. But in terms of cast 1 damage taken, cast on crit, it's the highest DPS in the game. There was nothing like it. You used to be able to change skills with cast on crit, 2 freeze pulses or 2 firestorms. Cast on crit, even though despite its nerfs, is still, I believe, the highest DPS in the game right now. And there was no way you can achieve any kind of damage like that back in beta. So I do feel like the game has been, in terms of damage, everything's been buffed over time.
All right, let's talk about this really fast, just a short little discussion to see how far Prolif is ranked. So, assuming that Fire Prolif, whether it be Flameblast, Fire Trap, I'm not sure what the fastest clear time is, but what ranks itself close to it? So I know people have told me there's some crazy Tornado Shot. Tornado Shot you just go through with Quicksilver and just one shot.
Tornado Shot and Kinetic Blast are pretty on par with Fire Prolif clear speed.
This is excluding cast on crit, correct? Because cast on crit is by far most damage.
There you go. Cast on crit goes up as well.
Anything low life.
Be more specific aside from anything with low life. Think of skill gems itself.
The thing is, we're comparing builds that have very, very different gearing levels.
yes. Well, right. That's totally true. But I just want to see how many builds are up there that can just compete. I'm saying with the clear speed. Because when you realistically think about it, if your goal is level 100 and you're leveling up, you're gonna make. I'm not saying you're gonna make 150, 300 exalteds, but you're gonna be making a couple exalteds, I'd say, on your journey to level 100 at least. So you could transition realistically from one into another. There's Mjolnir as well.
Yeah. Well, Mjolnir has a massive drawback though. Now it does with the nerf to block.
Yeah. I'm just throwing out other things that can compete with.
Yeah, I get what you're saying. Just what has similar clear speed to Fire
just to show that there is still some diversity.
There's other options,
that's all I wanted to say.
There's things that are almost as good, but I think there's only a few things that are as good. I think Kinetic Blast is right up there. It's one thing that's maybe as fast, maybe even faster than Fire Prolif.
Yeah. Obviously, week in and week out, we come in here and we all throw out the Gred chain, It's honestly beating a dead horse. But really what this game has come down to is, if you play a build that has very high clear speed, that's extremely meta, for example, Arc, Flame Blast, your Kinetic Blast, you get Resonant Sleepers in chat, right? We get a bunch of Resonant Sleepers. Just another Flame Blast build. But if you try to do something unique with a huge clear speed downside, I play a Cold Snapper, It's not going to be super high clear speed, but it's fun. And then your people get, well, your clear speed sucks. Why are you not playing Flameblast? You know, it's just like, why? Just play the game and have fun, people. Let's just play the game and have fun.
I got some of that recently, actually, when I was updating my Righteous Fire build. It's like you should be using a skill with Righteous Fire. This is a terrible build. I was like, but Righteous Fire is a build in itself. Like, just using pure Righteous Fire. It's like, why not just... It's the same as saying, why not use Flameblast instead? It's a completely different playstyle.
Yeah,
So,
Before Flame Surge
play
is
what
out
you
and
want to
everything.
play. Just the only thing I personally think is there needs to be a meta shift, just so the game stays interesting. You know, when it's the same thing always, the game can be dull. You know, Act 4 is coming out. I expect some sort of meta shift, some cool new gems to come out. You know, we really wanted a new wand skill. We got a new wand skill. It's OP. Who cares? It's fun. Let's play it. You know? It's really nice. It's refreshing that Kinetic Blast came out because it gave you a new way to play the game that you never played before. And it just so happens to be really good. Take it. Run with it. Let's have some fun. I think that's good. Let's
And
talk
again,
about
like,
Flask.
the diversity is awesome at the moment. Overall.
Exactly.
Right. Like, you can really play so many different things and be effective. So it's like, it's almost not worth complaining about, but at the same time, we're going to complain about something.
Wouldn't be a podcast if we didn't complain at least once.
Yeah, true. So let's talk about the Flask changes. If you guys didn't know, the last patch 1.3.1, not B, but the original, they changed the way how Flask immunities work, or dispels work. They're now immunities. If you remove a bleed, ignite, frozen or chill, and shock ailment, you're now immune to it during the Flask duration. So it is actually a indirect buff to bubbling flasks, not really a nerf to seething because it did what it always did, you know, your instant flask. It still does what it intended to do before, so it wasn't a nerf, it just doesn't buff it. As well as a huge buff to utility flasks such as Quicksilvers, your granites, jades, and most importantly your your elemental resistance flasks. I know personally, if I have a topaz flask and I'm CI, I want it to be immune to shock. I'm taking lightning damage shocks you. It's like, you know, two birds, one stone. Have you guys experienced it at all, or would you like to add any tidbits of how you feel this flask changes?
It's an awesome change, man. I love it. Sick change. Perfect. So good. And I'm glad that they, in, I think 1.3.1b, made it happen with Corrupting Blood as well.
Yep, with
Yes,
any
well,
bleed.
For that. Yeah, so now it's preventing bleeds as well. I think it's awesome. I think it should be something that you can, for the duration of this flask, I'm going to be immune to this thing. I think we talked about it a bit in the pre-show before, didn't we? But yeah, I think we all agree it's pretty good change overall.
Not only is this a good change, but with the exception of CI, where you have the option of 5 utility flasks. In a life-based build, you have your 2 life flasks, and generally speaking, your 3 utility. Mana flasks that kind of rarely get used, but it actually makes things like Roomies and Taste for Hate, even though Taste for Hate is insane, or even the Atsiri flask. It's not that they're not good anymore. It puts them in question. Like, do I want this grounding topaz flask over this Atsiri flask? You know, things
It
like
does
that.
make
you can ask
regular
yourself.
flasks a bit more attractive for sure, and
Exactly.
it is a bit of a buff to CI as well.
Yeah. One thing
Huge
I
buff
want to
to
say that's kind of like a quality of life change as well by introducing these flasks is, you know, when you run like 4 to 6 man parties and you roll that insane map that has a damage mod, and then you find that golem in a palace map that has a damage mod with a damage mod with, you know, like sub fizz next to a extra fizz totem, and has with the corrupting blood. And literally, like, if you're a physical damage dealer and you're not killing that golem in like a quarter of a second, if you get like 10 stacks on you, your health will decay by like 4k a second.
Oh yeah.
But being able to become immune now for the sake of, you know, attacking, that's how it works now, right? I haven't guns use the remove bleed.
Yep. It makes
like
you immune
immune-
during the
okay.
flask duration, unless you hit full life if you're using it on a life
Yeah.
flask.
That's really cool because it allows people that usually, you know, how many times are we like, that's corrupted blood, I'm not touching it. I hear it all the time. And now people with these fast attack speed builds don't have to be as scared in party play because they can sit there wailing on it. You know, like I've seen a lot of people on Cyclone, they play Cyclone in maps and they'll stream and they won't pay attention for like 1 or 2 seconds. And then they look away and then they stop cycloning and they lost the life gain on hit effect and the life leech and they just fell over because they were trying to wait. So I think this is really cool because it introduces more party play. Like, yeah, I can now hit that mob as a physical damage dealer if I just swap out this flask. And a more important one, in my opinion as well, is being able to become immune to shock now. is absolutely amazing
Oh my
because
god.
just being able to remove a shock stack doesn't mean you're safe.
Yeah.
That's it. Like
No, re-put it up.
when you're yes, being able to become immune to it prevents burst damage, prevents the one-hit KO, prevents the insta-killing. And me as a person, I like being slapped in the face if I get insta-killed for doing something stupid, but I don't like being insta-killed for something that was just, like you do Piety, right? Prime example, her Call Thunder comes, the first one hits you, stuns you, shocks you, and then the next one comes and just kills you, and you're dead. And I really like that now using these flasks, you can just become immune. And that's so cool in my
Prevents
opinion.
burst. And it also knocks
Yes.
off Cult of the Elements and Shocking Ground too, which is just
That's
god tier.
awesome. Yeah,
So
the
good.
scenarios where you're running, like what is it? Is it Underground Sea? I forgot, or Underground River. Where it's like
Well,
a
you're gonna
straight
walk
line.
on it, yeah.
Yeah, you have to. It's like, all right, do I want to just randomly flash over and see what's on the other side of the shocking ground, or would I like to step and manually walk through to see what's there? It's really nice. Always being able to, just not insta dying it's nice, and it helps add that element.
In addition to the quality of life change, like it's brought in, I think my favorite parts about it though are that it rewards preparation. It makes flask choices more interesting. It means you have to more carefully consider which flasks have what on. It means that using those utility flasks are even more attractive. So maybe more people that were still relying on 3 life flasks will drop back to generally the superior 2 life flask setup and use more utility flasks instead. Will become better at using their flasks, which is going to make people better players and enjoy the game more. I think all those changes are awesome, and it makes flask duration more attractive as well, which maybe people will start even using flask duration on belts and stuff too.
I've personally dropped Quicksilver. I'm not the clear speed tooltip warrior where I need big numbers to feel satisfied playing this game. So I've dropped my Quicksilvers for that topaz, grounding topaz. It's so amazing. I die a lot. I need what I can to not die a lot. Quicksilvers are arguable. You could use grounding Quicksilver, but then you don't have the bonus 10 lightning resist. Things like that where you have the option now rather than these are your 5 flasks when you're a life build. Good luck with it. Now you have it more of an option. Makes Eternal Bubblings even better too, because bubbling Eternal's insane, and plus with even if it's just 1.7 seconds without life recovery rate, that's an Eternal Bubbling. That's still 1.7 seconds of immunity if you are not full life. That's great. That's freaking awesome for bleed builds. So in general, I think Flask, this was one of the best quality of life changes they've done.
Yeah, sick change.
Moving,
I'm surprised, I
Okay.
didn't really, I don't think any of us had ever talked about this being a potential change in the past. It's just something GGG came out with on their own, because I've never seen it suggested or asked for or anything like that. Maybe it had been on the forums or something and I missed it, but yeah, GGG just seemingly brought it out of nowhere, but it's a great change.
I would have to agree.
Moving onward, let's talk Hall of the Grandmasters. This is my time to shine because I'm known for dying, but I've killed so many big boys with my character in there. Nothing more glorious than watching your guys' videos of me freezing you to death. Oh, yes. So if you guys don't know, Hall of Grandmasters it's the $500 supporter pack, the Grandmaster supporter pack, and it gave you the option to, how do we say this, make your character permanently saved within the game. So right now you could purchase a unique to add your portion you want to the game, but while they're still hot, you can still purchase a Grandmaster supporter pack and add any character that you desire that you've made within the game to this map. And you get some people with your naked Templars with a glass shank. I think there's one of those in there. And then you have these people with these absolutely insane builds. You have your annoying Aegis builds. You have a bunch of just really cool ideas. And I don't even think it's been cleared on hardcore yet. Let's be real.
I don't know. I
think
think
so.
it definitely has. I think it has.
I don't think so.
I haven't seen anyone
It's
claiming
insane,
it.
Fox. It is insane.
Here's what I always say is it's always the people that you don't know of that do the most insane things. The people who keep it to themselves are always the ones who are insane.
We can only talk about the people that publish what they do.
Right, of
Right,
course,
right.
that's definitely true. But I'm just saying, I'm pretty sure that people in hardcore have cleared it. I don't know.
There's
There's
someone with a level 100 high-level dueling character in hardcore that crushed it.
yep.
No, Hedgie did it in softcore, but he crushed it too. He did it with 1 death, I think. He killed it.
Oh, it has been done? Okay. I wasn't sure.
Has been?
I know it's one of those maps where it's just I'm pretty sure it's the hardest map out there right now. And it is freaking It is glorious watching the rips, or
glad
whenever
you
someone
guys are
streams it,
saying
I
that.
watch it.
I'm glad you guys are saying that because I saw a lot of when Hedgie did it, people saying this map's a joke, super easy and all that. Like, not at all appreciating Hedgie's high-level dueling character and all of the work he put into that, and the fact that a lot of those, like, he's built up counters for most of what's going on in that map.
I'm pretty sure. I really don't think anyone on hardcore has done it. Some people are saying it has, some people are saying it haven't, but I'm fairly certain it hasn't been done on hardcore yet.
Few people said, well, one person said Hellman. I haven't seen anyone else verifying.
I'm pretty sure he did it in standard. I watched him die, get frozen, and then poison arrow killed him. I've seen a lot. I've seen Hedgie do it too. I think he was world first, but world first. We'll put that in quotes. We don't know he was a world first a streamer.
It was
probably.
definitely close.
Yeah, but he did it in standard league. But I'm pretty sure it hasn't been cleared yet in hardcore. I would love to watch. That's a challenge out there. If any of you guys think you have the character to do it, let's see it. Let's see some hardcore people do Grandmasters all, because it is so hard. In terms of balance, I don't think they balanced it around anything. I think the people that
it's just for fun.
It's fun. It's fun.
Well,
exactly.
it has PvP balancing built into the map.
Right.
So the damage effectiveness of PvP's in there, which is good because like it's a good map for anyone who PvPs to jump on into. But yeah, if you go in on your PvE character, expect to get wrecked because a lot of those, like not all of them, only some of them, but some of the guys in there have been designed as PvP characters put into there. And even though they're controlled by AI, the AI is not all that bad. And you know, if the builder is solid, there's a good chance they're gonna wreck you. Even Hedgie died once on his level 100 PvP beast.
Yes.
He died once.
Oh, man. I'll never forget watching Mathel's video. He was like, oh, this cold snapper hurts, but I'm not immune to freeze. And then he just gets frozen. I submitted a cold snapper I'm really very proud of. I've killed a lot of people. All those low-life builds out there with their Oxium, you can have 10k ES, 6500 ES, but if I could freeze Palace Dom, I'm freezing you. So...
One thing I'd like to say, I'm sorry, go on.
No, go ahead, Pox.
Yeah, I was gonna say one thing on top of what you were saying is I like the synergy they added in the map, how they pair groups of players together that synergize to some extent. So like as you said in your scenario, who are you paired with again? The low light.
Well, it's I believe it's random, but I was.
It just happens.
Yeah, I was paired with the leap slammer, the low life leap slammer. You know, like I froze someone and they were low life and he just charges in and they just fall right over. You know, or like there was an ice spear prolif guy and he was paired with a poison arrow. This poison arrow guy is a monster. I'm not kidding you. This guy's got to have a level 28 poison arrow because if you sneeze, even with cap chaos res, you're gonna die. It's crazy.
Gotcha. Yeah, I was actually told by a couple of people that it's that like what is it? It's not random, but I don't know. I haven't ran it myself. But either way, it's I think it's just a nice idea. It's cool to see like if you donated the money, you can see your character, like the legacy of your character that you love lives on in the game.
The exact name of that character too.
Yeah, exactly.
My dumb 3 underscores.
I think it's really cool.
I'm telling you right now, that poison arrow guy is probably one of the scariest. That guy. I was watching Green Dude and a couple other people playing with him. Like one poison arrow in his life, just like instantly gone. Rip map portal. Oh, it's beautiful. It's a really, really cool design map for sure. But it's insanely hard. You guys gonna give it a go, huh?
Because I don't make PvP characters, I don't ever expect to be able to clear it, but I'll give it a go at some point.
Yeah, dude, you should do that on stream. The hype would be real. If you were to go and do that on your Torment character, you'd run out of flat, or run out of
Take my old Tornado Shot character that never died.
Oh my.
My old hardcore Tornado Shot guy.
The one you were trying to kill?
Yeah, I did like everything to try and kill him.
I remembered.
How about your immortal EK Scion? The old IR Mind Over Matter EK Scion. That's the character.
I think that one would get wrecked in PvP really quickly, but I think the Tornado Shot would have a better chance at it.
I have an idea. How about we make another group and we make a full self-found character league again, like between us, and the challenge is going to be to clear that map. Remember how we?
Gonna happen.
Oh man, I would love to see you guys do that. I would love to watch you guys do that.
Maybe I'll execute the Tornado Shutter on the whole Grandmasters map.
It's kind of cool to watch people do it too, because there's mobs that actually pick up that immune to life leech node, and there's specs that low life specs that run off of life leech, and when they they're immune to life leech, you can't consume life from them. They just get wrecked by it, and it's really, really funny. You know, something that you would get on the tree, you like completely ignore it, whatever, is insane in this map when a mob has it. It's pretty crazy. Or I believe there used to be an immune to mana leech. I'm not sure if that even exists anymore, but yeah, things like that are pretty hilarious.
Xeno, have you thought about taking in your Cold Snapper and doing a Cold Snapper mirror match?
I would go immune to freeze and win because she's not immune to freeze.
Hard countering your own build.
Yeah.
OP.
I don't think I'll go in there. If I were to go in there, that was my PvP character. I would swap in added chaos when they were immune to freeze and just burst them down from added chaos. You know, obviously, I'm not sure if these mobs work the same way because you said it is PvP balanced, but yeah. Yeah, the Culling Strike Leaf Slammer is my favorite character in there. Whoever made that, props to you. It is hilarious.
How many people do you think he's killed?
Oh, so many. Like, I was watching, like this one video was like 6 low life cast on crit builds, you know. They're like, we can't life leech, because, you know, the mob's immune to life leech. And all of a sudden he just comes in with the Leaf Slam, just super fast attack speed, and just wiped out like 4 of them because they have all their life on reserve. They're below 10% life, and he just one-shots them. Oh, that guy's hilarious.
So good.
It's so great.
Yeah, it's a great thing. I'm really glad they put this in the game. It's a great way just to immortalize some people's characters and have it just be like this ultimate thing. It's just ridiculous. I think it's allowed to be completely ridiculous. I don't think the map needs to be like balanced or made easier or made harder or anything. I think that's fine.
Screw
just
balancing
chuck people's
it.
random builds in there.
It's
like that
complete
some
troll
builds are
face,
just, like,
man.
complete crap, and then other builds are like godlike PvPers.
I think just think of it as like an end game for PvPers. Why not? Like, our PvPers aren't going to be doing at Ziri, right? Why not test their skill on a map and see how they do? It's something fun to do. Doesn't always need to be risk versus reward. Sometimes it's fun versus risk.
I wonder if eventually it'll be profitable for some like really godly PvP characters to run for profit. I don't know. I don't think the rewards in it are all that good, but
I will say something in terms of the art of the zone. We haven't seen art like that before. So is this specific to the map, or is this specific to maybe possible Act 4? There is some speculation about that because we haven't seen anything like that yet.
I mean, assets. Aren't they like Solaris assets just mixed with some of like the some of the Act 3 assets? It just seems like they seem just like cleverly repurposed assets to me.
Maybe some of them, like the statues and whatnot, but it does look like a brand new zone. When you enter, you have like this cool little fog effect on the sides there. It's like really well lit.
Yeah, they did a good job of making it kind of feel like a Mount Olympus or something like that.
It's a Hall of Grandmasters. It feels like a Hall of Grandmasters. Oh, man.
Perfect.
So one last topic we got to discuss before we move on is the Bloodlines.
Before we do go into it, I just want to let you guys know in chat, if you want to post some questions in chat, I'll copy them over into our Primer doc and we can answer them at the end. So just phrase them Q&A at whoever you want to add them to, and then ask your question.
We got about 20 minutes left. We have about 20 minutes left, so there's that. We're going to be discussing the Bloodlines changes. We got P-Link got changed, and the Pulse Bloods got changed, and I believe one more did. I don't remember which one. Oh, Bond of Chaos got nerfed. So Bond of Chaos, in case you guys don't play Bloodlines, what it is it's a mod that's kind of like Ancestral Power, the rare mod where they have like the totems, all the fire links with them. It's just like that, but instead it's a blue pack within a certain radius of one another. They have this Bond of Chaos damage. It was doing some pretty ridiculous damage, and it was infuriating on Devourers because a Devourer would pop up, and the Bond would be underground, and you could not see it, and you would just die. And they made it so it can no longer spawn on Devourers, and they also nerfed its damage, which, yeah, for the most part, I think it was needed. That was a big change. It was a nice change for Bloodlines, as well as changing Bilateral Link. The way how this pack works is, first off, you would see it quite often. There would be times I'd find 3 right next to each other in maps, in a pack size map, and it was infuriating. And every 5 seconds, it would switch between blue mob to blue mob. And what it is the only mob with this buff can be killed. Everyone else is immune. And if that's a powerful crits pack, you're going to get wrecked because immune mobs you're not leeching off of, you can't stun them, etc., etc. Now it's less likely to appear, and it has a 7-second swap timer opposed to 5 seconds. And then the last big change was the Pulse Bloods. They got just a damage buff, but I haven't noticed it. What do you think? Let's hear it. P-Link, we brought it up time and again. Is this the change we needed, or is this the change to just get rid of it?
So, really fast, I want to go with. I don't really mind it. I like it because it can be very dangerous. I don't like it majority of the time because it's not dangerous, but I do like it because it's kind of like, you know how when you spawn a Beyond Boss, you go out, either you go out of your way to kill the Beyond Boss, or you go out of your way to avoid the Beyond Boss. And you always warn people there's a Beyond Boss. You know, like if someone's coming in, like don't go back there, there's a boss there. Factual Link is kind of like, sometimes if you get like a discharger, like that's what I had, a discharger for the actual Link pack, and you can't kill him, you gotta wait. And it's like, I skip it. And I remember one specific time, I had a Katarina quest, or mission, and she was like, go take little boy over here and go all the way back to the other side of the map where the little, the little pillar is, the statue thing. And I'm like, oh, and I had to run through the pack and keep him alive. And of course, I didn't have to do any of that for any reason. I could have just abandoned it. But it's just nice knowing to me that the mod can still be, like, it's not just annoying. It can be very dangerous. Powerful crits ROAS with Natural Link. Anything that has high damage, high burst damage, that's immune. So.
Did I hear powerful crits ROAS, Pox? Wouldn't be a podcast
Look, man,
without powerful crits
they
ROAS.
always, I mean, have you ever seen a immune drop bear fall from a tree?
Oh my god. Powerful crits ROAS with freaking Cult of the Elements or freaking Otherworldly is still the most terrifying thing in this league.
Here's what I want to ask you guys. Is P-Link frustrating or frustratingly difficult?
Both.
Right, so it can be
if it's
either.
on like a pack of like 30 little squids and half that pack is on one side of the map and the other half is like, you have to run back and forth, and by the time you run to the one with it, it goes to the other side. So you have to go and chase down, it's just sucky. And then it's annoying if the mob has like any sort of extra damage mod, and it's already a scary mob. For instance, P-Link Whippers. Have fun with that if they have an extra damage mod. Have fun with P-Link Whippers.
Yeah.
Because I think just frustrating is a problem, but frustrating the difficult isn't a problem. Like ZiggyD have shown that they enjoy putting in things in the game that are frustratingly difficult, like pretty much everything in Scepter of God, for example. But yeah, if it's just like frustrating sometimes, then it sounds like some changes might still need to happen.
If you're in a pack size map with more blue monsters, or just pack size, and you find a pack of beetles with P-Link, it's so annoying. You're like, I want to kill them because it's a blue pack and it's a chance at maps. I'm in a 76 map, but why does it have to be in beetles?
They're like beetles. It's like not difficult at all. So it's just annoying.
Well, they're difficult because beetles normally they could be stunned. They just die instantly. But when there's 20 of them that are immune and you have to kite and kite and kite, it is actually pretty frustrating. And it does raise the difficulty of them.
Can you prolif off them? Like,
Yes.
So you can prolif off them with full damage.
But
spread across the map.
I'm not 100% sure if you can prolif off something that's immune, but you can definitely prolif off of maybe you can. I don't remember.
If you kill the one and the corpse can prolif to the next one.
Yes, 100%. That's exactly. Yeah, there you go. Yeah. That's what I would do. Is I would just get a prolif and I would just sit there and run in a circle and watch everything die. But I think couldn't you just do this? Couldn't you like total up the amount of different types of mobs that can be rolled in maps, and then just like from there you can divide like what's scary and what's not. And then just throw on Theatrical Link and see which, if they're more annoying mobs or more easy mobs. And you can kind of get an estimate, you know what I mean, or no? That face? Like, okay, think of every mob that could be possibly rolled in a map, right?
Yeah.
And then tally them all together, get your number, and then start separating scary, or like annoying, scary, etc. And then just put Theatrical Link in and see, are there more easier or are there more annoying mobs? And then you'll just get your average, right?
Yeah, okay.
That's what
Yeah.
I don't know why that was so hard.
Like, to go back on like the P-Link beetles, like beetles are always a joke, right? They're the joke monster. You just see a blue pack of beetles, and you're like, yes! But when there's like 25 of them and you can only kill one at a time, and the other 24 are running at you, that's where it becomes annoying. And it's the mob isn't difficult itself, it's just immune. So you can't stun it, you can't freeze it, you just have to run away from it. And then half the time you're just like, screw it, I'm not fighting it. But the whole map drops we're not seeing map drops as much as we used to. You kill the P-Link. It's just frustrating. It's just annoying in general.
P-Link is fine because it's not going to be in permanent leagues.
Yep.
In chat.
I really hope. I hope it's one of those things where you just never to be thought about again.
I mean, as we have seen before, that you brought up before, is there are some things that just gradually disappear and no one knows what happened to them. Like the Thorn Shrine just magically disappeared all of a sudden. What was it? What was the semi-invisible mob?
Camouflage Predator.
Camouflage Predator just randomly just disappeared.
The Thorn Shrine is one of the funniest things out there because it's useless on you, and people with like leap slam builds, they just jump in and they just die. I love that mod. I thought it was hilarious.
Yep. But I'm just saying, there is a chance it could just slowly just disappear off, the face of Path of Exile. So,
yes.
Shall we go on to some Q&A? I've got a few questions queued up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyone else have anything else to say? No? Alright, yeah, go for it, Ziggy. Launch us.
Alrighty, here we go. So, I'm going to ask this one first from New Jazzy. Xenocide, would you welcome a self-induced challenge mode that forces your character to be self-found, just bound to that single character and impossible to trade with others? I'm also I'm gonna direct this question at Pox as well, because he recently came from doing a Iron Man run in RuneScape, and I think he'd have some interesting things to say about it.
I would say if it was in the League, for instance, if they made this in Torment League, or if they made it even in Bloodlines, where on character selection you had the option to make it self-found only, it'd be awesome. But making it a league of its own is a pretty poor idea. It's an ARPG.
What's the point of making it a league of its own? That's what I remember.
For fun. What's the point of Iron Man? It's for
fun.
No,
I mean, like, if you make
a league of its own.
Point of, having a league to play with.
There is no point to making a league of its own.
So
if they made
make it a mode that you can toggle for your character, I think.
Yeah, I think that'd be a great idea. If you had the option on character select, I think that would make the min-max real. And also, the greatest players out there, in self-found environment, there is no RMT. So, good luck. And the best players out there, they can't trade either.
So I guess that's towards me. I really like that idea. I'm a big fan of, like when I used to play games. I'm not that old. I'm 22 now, but it was all about like there was no trading when I used to play games. It was just what do you have? What do you want to do? What do you get? Like when? And it's just working with what you have. And kind of like in a racing environment, when I'm playing really fast paced, depending on what you're doing, it's just like, okay, this is what I have. This is it. That's it. Like I have to make do with what I have. I physically cannot remove bleed on my flask because I don't have enough alterations and I don't have enough to do this recipe. And it's just, I like it. You're limited. You're very limited, and it does kind of suck in a way because like I can't do that build because I don't have a Cloak of Defiance. But at the same time, I'm going to bring up a really weird example that some people and majority of people in chat probably won't understand. But like Arc. Arc transitions into Mjolnir when you get enough currency, usually, right? That's usually what it is. You switch your build up, and then you go Mjolnir. I guess you could do it with anything, but it's kind of like Mjolnir is like, Arc is like the stepping stone, and I think that you can make an outline for a lot of builds as a self-found character, and then transition into something else, and I think that's really cool. So I'm definitely a 100% fan of it. I personally don't, sometimes I just don't want to deal with trading in the economy because, well, let's face it, an economy in any game is the economy of the internet, and the internet is a very scary place.
I love arbitrary challenges, man. I'd welcome it for sure. Yeah. Having a toggle that just stops you from trading or partying with people.
I think that's easy for them to code too, I would honestly think. So
can't imagine it would be that difficult.
What do we got for our next question here, Ziggy?
Next up from Lost Carvey. Question at all. With bows getting quivers and benefiting greatly from bonus stats, what do you think are the odds that two-handed melee weapons will also get an offhand slotless item for stats in the same way? And would that be enough to bring them back into commonplace usage and defensive stats? So basically, giving an offhand for melee two-handed weapons. I've seen games that have done that.
Well, right now, bows, I think, are balanced around, like, I think, one-handed damage. They don't get nearly the top end. Best of my knowledge, they don't get the top end and two-handed axe or two-handed sword can really achieve. But quivers, they're definitely a bonus, but two-handed damage does massive damage. The reason why two-handed isn't played is if you're going to play an elemental build, you want high APS, so elemental two-handers are already out. And then reflect. Once you get high damage, you're going to die to reflect. I mean, you saw even people like Etup get destroyed by reflect with static strike with the Gemini's era. And that is a massive issue with two-handers is reflect damage. Maybe if they made like some sort of node in the tree that makes you take like 20% less damage from reflect while wielding a two-hander. I think that would be pretty good. No offhanding.
Yeah, I agree. Bows are balanced around like the bows versus two-handed melee weapons with quiver and all that. They're balanced around the fact that that is the way it is. The biggest like advantage of like having a quiver is flexibility in what you can do. Like you can equip some various unique quivers that can achieve different things, or you can go for more specific stats. Like you can get more defensive, or you can get more offensive. Yeah, I think Xeno covered it pretty well and what the problem with two-handers are, more so than you don't have an offhand. I think I wouldn't like to see like an offhand for two-handed weapons. It sounds interesting, but I think all it would do is make them more samey. It would make everything more the same.
Yeah.
Like what happens if you got an offhand for everything? It's like, well, one-handers are the same as two-handers, but it's sort of the same as bows. Like it reduces like the interesting differences between the two things.
It's true. And I think before they even change it, like add anything to a two-handed offhand, I think honestly there's only one type of bow right now, and that's crit bow or go home. And I really would like to see new bow types, but whether or not that comes out, who knows? That's another beaten horse dead thing. Yeah, that English. Next question.
From Sweet Size Small, what's with the RNGs in there? Like, I don't know, what are you talking about?
Yeah, I don't see him.
No, I don't say anything. Maybe this podcast is just blessed. Captain Millennium. I think they should make other options to recharge flasks than going crit, except killing monsters. What do you think? I feel refilling flasks on crit is a bit OP.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, especially with cast on crit. If you crit on anything with surgeons, you're going barrage. So when it's barrage, it's all or none. Well, when you have 95% crit and you have 92% chance to hit, you're going to be critting a lot. And with barrage, you're running GMP. So now you're getting, 9 hits off? That's 9 charges. With the exclusion of the crit of the spell that's coming out. Surgeons is pretty ridiculous, especially for cast on crit. Maybe if they put an internal cooldown on it, or gave another way for flasks to recharge quicker for people that are non-crit, that would be good. But yes, cast on crit pretty much broke anything DPS-wise and flask-wise for this game. I agree with that.
Well, let's throw around some ideas of what you could do non-crit-wise. Someone mentioned in the chat earlier, charge on stun. Do you think that would cause any problems, or do you think there'd be any problems with that?
You can't really... I mean...
It might not be possible to do, but...
Certain mobs are, like, unwavering maps, for example, cannot be stunned. I guess it doesn't really play too much of it, but... I don't know. I guess... See, okay, I have a question really fast. It's kind of like on the same topic, but what if you added, like, rather than immediately gaining the charge right then, if, say a target was stunned or a target was crit, when it dies, it gives you extra charges. That way,
if you kill something with a crit, you gain, 50% more charges or something.
Yeah, well, not even... I guess you could say with a crit, or if a target was crit. But yeah, with a crit would probably be better. Just because, kind of like, I like the fact that you're rewarded for, rolling your flask, made for this specific example. I don't like that it kind of becomes like, I don't even have to pay attention anymore because I have 100% uptime. What's the point of using it? Like, oh, I see a mob, let me hit my flask. No, it's like, let me just roll the keyboard and have one of every buff on me, I guess. Maybe that's just me as a personal preference. That's my opinion. Not anything wrong with it in general.
Okay. What about the idea of removing surgeons, or like Xeno said, adding an internal cooldown or something? Do you think the game would benefit from something like that?
I mean, I guess an internal cooldown could be kind of cool. It really depends on how the internal cooldown works, since flasks have more than one charge usually, that you can use at once. So I guess it kind of depends. But I would say an internal cooldown it might be one of the safest bets towards it.
All right, sorry, my mic got muted for whatever reason. Sorry.
Yeah, you're right. I think I can't really see a problem with the eternal cooldown. It seems like a good idea. It could be really short, just like what they've done with cast on crit, for example, just like a couple 100-millisecond internal cooldown or something. Or even if it was like a 1 second thing, you can gain an extra charge every 1 second by critting. That would be pretty reasonable way to slowly work up your flasks through constantly attacking enemies over time. I can't see a problem with that.
I'm honestly For a while, I was under the impression that, on belts you have flask duration, all these flask things that you can roll on belts. I thought they were going to put, like, increased souls gained, or, like, percentage of increased souls gained for Val skills, but I'm happy they didn't. Especially, like, with this 100% uptime you always see on, like, Val Haste and things like
Yeah.
that. I'm glad that they didn't. That was a good choice by their part, and I was a dumbass. But anyway, kind of off topic.
Alrighty, let's move on. Axel Fred, this is a good question because it allows us to sort of put out a tip that a lot of people forget or miss. He says, Barrage is so hard to use, so much desync. How can I reduce desync from Barrage? So Barrage desyncs because it's like it's a channeled skill, and that's why it's specifically more desyncy than other skills. But there's also like a thing that a lot of people miss that you can help improve how much desync you experience with skills like that, and it works for pretty much all attacks, and it's using Force Standstill. Use Force Standstill. It reduces so much desync. Basically what happens if there's like a server disagreement on your specific location, and you name lock a mob, like you target a mob or a location or something, and you can't actually see that location, like it goes around a door or something like that, what will happen is your character will move into position so that it can see that mob, so it can gain line of sight, and then attack. And if that disagreement was there, that's what causes you to desync into other rooms or back into the room you're in, or just start the desync in general. So using Force Standstill means that you'll attack from your current location no matter what. So I bound that to tab for easier access, but you can just use it with Shift by default.
My pinky hates me because I just hold that Shift. Even when I'm playing a Reaver, hold Shift. As soon as you're done walking, hold Shift. Just to
You should pretty
prevent
much always be holding Shift whenever you're attacking with anything. I can't really think of an exception. That's like a general action RPG rule. That's like been true pretty much always. But if your pinky canes like that, I highly recommend. What I've done is I've bound Force Standstill to tab, and I just rest my fingers on my skill keys instead. Well, I changed my skill keys to 1 through 5, but
something to think about too. Any type of knockback or any type of like chance to flee. Like I was using wind screams to level not wind screams. Wake of Destruction, the 1 to 120 boots, and it has a 10% chance to flee. That's really just 10% chance to desync. That is like guaranteed desync in this game. That knockback, stun, a lot of those are associated with desync. So either becoming immune to it or not using things like that. Sadly, it was really frustrating. I didn't realize how much desync was occurring with those boots because of that. But that also forces a lot of desync.
Someone suggested binding it to space. That's also a good option. I've seen people do that before. Yep. So you hold space to Force Standstill. Okay. Twitch Neko asks, do you think ZiggyD should add new weapon types? And then he suggests other animations like lunging attacks. That kind of hits on the reason why they aren't doing that, or why they aren't likely to do that in the near future. If they add a new weapon type, they have to, unless it's a new one-hander that swings the same as a sword, they have to code a new animation for every character model, and that sort of thing is very expensive. And we are still talking about an indie developer here, so that sort of takes a lot of money out of the budget away from things they could spend on more content. So I don't think we're likely to see new weapon types.
Last I heard, ZiggyD was somewhere around 45 employees. 45 employees for this game is pretty small if you really think about it, compared to companies just the amount of people working on Diablo 3 versus the amount of people working on Path of Exile. I rarely compare
it's actually
the two.
probably pretty comparable, but that's
really?
Because Diablo 3 doesn't really see that much content compared to PoE. But for the amount of content that comes out, it's I don't know, I think the team size is big, but the budget is small.
That's small, I guess, maybe. I was saying, customer support in Blizzard, they do all-encompassing games. You don't include customer support on the game design team. They only have, by title, I believe they only have, 2 or maybe even 3 game designers? You have Carl, Rory, and maybe Nick from time to time, right? Maybe Mark, and then Mark. With the actual, title, if you look at the freaking, when the thing comes up, I don't know.
I think it's just a question of what would you prefer? Would you prefer I probably shouldn't ask this because some people will say, but would you prefer javelins, or would you prefer another new game mode or new act, or new league type or new monsters or something like that? It becomes a kind of a question. I think a new weapon type adds less to the game than other stuff will. I don't know, maybe eventually they will, but they've made it pretty clear that not any time in the near future will that be happening.
Yeah, I'm definitely happy with the way they're continuing though. It's when you think about it, people get bored after a month or 2 months in the game, but then you have an entire new content to explore the next big patch, which is, think about it. Usually games wait years for a year or so for the new expansion, but PoE has mini expansions over and over and over, and sometimes you really got to like take a step back and think of like, wow, like
It makes it hard to leave the game, though, doesn't it?
Yeah, I always come back. Doesn't matter how attached I am to one game. It's like, man, PoE has a new league coming. It's like, what, a new league?
I mean,
yeah, man.
I love Diablo 3, but I've found it quite easy to not play for several months because there's not actually much new content to pull me back. So
Me too.
But
I'm
PoE
working on
makes
2
it very
years.
difficult. PoE makes it very, very difficult. Because I'm like, well, shit, it's been 3-4 weeks, and look at all this new stuff I gotta go back and have a look at.
I mean, I am disheartened that they didn't release new gems this patch, but I understand whatever gem they didn't release this, that they were probably debating releasing this patch, they'll probably say, screw it, we'll release it Act 4, or maybe something to tie them over in between. But we're pretty close to Act 4. We are really close to Act 4.
I don't mind them not releasing too much at the moment and just, like, tweaking some balance and releasing a couple uniques and stuff, because... yeah, like, then it allows us to have a bit of a break, a bit of a chillax time before Act 4 comes out, because when that comes out, man, we're going to be going crazy.
We're all going to put NL underscore in front of our names, including everyone in chat. Well, I think this is the end of the podcast. I wanted to say thank you to GGG, and especially GGG Nick, for coming on this episode. Cheers. You killed it this episode. You had some great content to talk about. Just remember, guys, we didn't want to bring up Act 4 at all because a lot of people at GGG, everyone at GGG is under NDA, which is a non-disclosure agreement, and they can't really come out about that, and everything is really tight with Act 4 right now. They don't want any leaks about it, period. So
yeah, GGG works really hard to cultivate hype, so...
Exactly.
like, and I think that's important for the game. It's important for the health of the game, so... I think it's worth not ruining it. I think we all just need to be patient for Act 4 and just wait and just be excited for it when it comes out.
Exactly. You know, if we want GGG employees to continue to come on, we don't want to prod them too much. Now, when we bring on Chris, when Chris agrees to come on there, I'm pretty sure Chris is like, guys, this is what I'm dropping the bomb on today. And then he does. Sure. But Nick, you know, we wanted to kind of pick his brain about uniques, leagues, and PvP in general. So you guys can, instead of just seeing a patch note and wondering why, now there's your answers. And he kind of gave a couple hints here and there, but he didn't, you know, say anything for sure. I also want to thank all you guys out there that continue to show up to these podcasts. We really do appreciate it. We understand PoE's in a little bit of a slow time right now while we're all waiting for Act 4, and the fact you guys all came out today is pretty freaking awesome, so cheers to that. And I don't know, do you guys got anything else you want to say before we head out?
That's it, no? It's good to be back.
I have not invited anyone for podcast episode 26. It most likely will not be 2 weeks from now. We're going to kind of make it a little bit slower until more content comes out. We've pretty much talked about all content that is up to date. Maybe about 3 weeks from now will be another episode. When Act 4 comes out, Ziggy kind of gave me an idea that we might, until all the content gets covered on our podcast, we may do them weekly. Until the content gets covered.
Even
right
maybe
now,
because GGG tends to, like, in the couple of weeks lead up, we could even start doing it more often when the hype's starting to build for Act 4 even, maybe.
Get everyone back up to date.
yeah, when they start coming out with teasers, we'll do more like weekly podcasts. But right now, there's no content to discuss, so it'd be kind of like pointless for it just to continually do every 2 weeks unless content appears. So tentative 2 weeks from now, probably 3 weeks from now. There you guys go. And then once content starts coming out for our Act 4, we will be doing them more frequently. So we're going to try and adjust the times around the podcast. You know, if these guys are taking a break from the game, I don't really do that too often. Why would I want them to continually come on when they're playing other things? So that's just a big heads up. I'm going to, in terms of the giveaways, stay tuned. But that's all I got for right now, guys. Thank you for tuning in.
Do you have to do your outro spiels?
And that's it. That's all I got. You got anything?
Awesome. Alrighty, guys.
Goodbye.
Thanks for having us. It was good.
Don't let a drop bear fall on you.
Ah.